Speaking of defamation and defamatory lies, lectern guy, you may know him from such insurrections as the January 1st insurrection that was never an insurrection except in as much as it was committed and carried out by a deep state that wanted to remove Trump from office, remove him from future ballots, and demonize and surveil half of the nation. And they basically succeeded in doing that for 4 freaking years. All of that destruction undone in a day, undone with a victory, and undone on not on day 1, but on day 2. Donald Trump pardoned all of the victims of that January 6th persecution. It's amazing. And we've been following that for, since Trump came into office, since he signed the proclamation, which pardoned 1,500 January 6th defendants, January 6th victims. And we were following it as they were being released one by one. And at latest count, a few of them were still being held in the DC gulag in particular, but we were live and I was co-streaming Jake Lang's stream yesterday as they were releasing the Jan 6 prisoners from the DC gulag. And yes, I'm using that rhetoric. The vast majority of them are out now. I put up a list of about 17 people 17 Jan 6ers who were still in jail and had not yet been released as at the time posting that. And the list needs to be updated now. I still think Olivia Pollack was in as of the last count. But when I tweeted this, Taylor Terrell, a lot of the names I probably have some typos in because I was transcribing it off a screen recording of a phone. Taylor Toronto, Robert Tumar, Jason Tucker, Tom Vumos, John Banualos, Rockney Earls, Tatali, this one I knew I got wrong, Gasimaskowski, Joseph Hutchison, Jake Lang, Theodore Middledorf, Daryl Neely, Olivia Pollack, Jonathan Pollack, her brother. A man has had 2 of his kids in that DC gulag for an extended period of time. Andrew Grigsby, Ryan Wilson, Daniel David, Gregory Purdy, and the vast majority of them are now out. And I'm going to do an update to see who is left behind those bars. But Jake Lang, the people, Jake Lang, the man who people called the Fed, who spent 4 years in pretrial detention, was released yesterday. And I can't imagine what that air smells like in terms of sweetness, although he described it as foul DC swamp air, what that meal is going to taste like, and what it's going to feel like sleeping in a nice, clean, warm bed, secure, with family, with loved ones, where you know that you can wake up in the middle of the night and walk to a nice bathroom and flush the toilet after you go pee-pee in the middle of the night. So that is what was being done by way of undoing the damage of the last 4 years. And they won't let people forget about it, and they won't let people reputationally heal from the defamatory false accusations in the first place. Lectern guy and Adam Johnson, I keep saying Andrew Johnson, Adam Johnson, accused of stealing the lectern. He became the face of the so-called insurrection, of the Fedsurrection. They accused him of all sorts of things. He pleaded to the picketing and parading in a restricted area. He served 75 days. And I don't want to say in jail, in prison, whatever. He served 75 days in whatever facility it was. I forget which one. Much of it, or at least a substantial portion of it, in solitary because of COVID. Pleaded, where some people say, like, don't plead. No, don't plead. Go before that ridiculous DC communist system and get sentenced to something wild like 22 years in jail for a seditious conspiracy like Enrique Tarrio. And Joe Biggs, I think he got 14 years. No, don't plead. Be righteous. Don't bear false witness to yourself. Go to trial in a politically prejudiced jurisdiction and have your life ruined over nothing. And so Andrew Johnson was one of the early ones, pleaded to a minor misdemeanor after having his life turned upside down. And all that he wants to do, incidentally, is take a freaking picture with John Fetterman. That's all he wants to do. And then dirtbag number 1, because there's 2 of them. Dirtbag number 1, Tom Dreisbach, or Dreisbach. Dreisbach is a surname, which means 3 streams. I knew it. It meant something. Dreisbach, 3 streams. Well, he's got 3 streams, all of which are urine. Tom Dreisbach says, just Andrew Johnson posting a funny picture. He goes and he recreates the picture. That's the picture that set the internet on fire. That one really pissed Nancy Pelosi off. They decided, holy shit, you don't mock the king, mother effer. You're going to have your life ruined now. 4 years later, the man pleaded to a misdemeanor, served time that he should never have served in the first place, that he'll never get back, went through hell that you can only imagine, just wants to enjoy life now without having shitheads like 3-stream McDreisbach come in and remind, oh no, guys, don't forgive, don't forget, and let me lie. January 6th rioter lie. Adam Christian Johnson, who pleaded guilty to storming the Capitol and posing with Rep. Pelosi's lectern, has posted a photo with Sean Fetterman, PA, today. Oh, they got Fetterman to bend the knee because Fetterman is a moralless, principleless pussy. He has to, I didn't know who that person was. And so I go a little hard. I have been known to go a little hard. I had been known to weigh my tongue, but that was before I discovered the sweet taste of freedom. Let's go to the original tweet. We have to go through a little bit of a. He says, the rioter. Yeah, we read this one already. Oh, and then he posts a post. After tweeting, by the way, a lie, a demonstrable lie, he posts links which demonstrate the falsity of the statement that he just made. I don't know if he clicked on the links, but he sure as sugar is hoping that none of his stupid, smooth-brain, three-stream followers are clicking those links. I reached out to Fetterman for a comment. An unnamed spokesperson, they sent me an email from the account, said, Fetterman says, John had absolutely zero clue who he was. He took several dozen photos with people today alone. It's funny. I mean, that's technically true. What would have been nice is if Fetterman grew a pair and said, piss off, you smear merchant jackasses. I'll take pictures with whomever I want, whenever I want, and you won't shame me because of some politicized bullshit witch hunt that was the January 6th persecution. But no, I know it's easier for me to say. I don't have to deal with these problems. Then we go down here. He posts the links to the statement of offense over here, and then what Johnson told the court, and then the government's sentencing memorandum. To which, well, we'll go to actually my comment. I hate to be an asshole. Grandma Edna, earmuffs. Ordinarily, I'm very nice on Twitter. #sarcasm. Until dealing with pathological morons disguising themselves as, quote, journalists. Then I become an asshole with a big bullhorn. You write that he pleaded guilty to storming the Capitol and posing with Rep. Pelosi's lectern. You then post a link to an article you're either too lazy to have read or too stupid to understand. Do you know what was in the article? Well, first of all, the article is just the article. He pleaded guilty in November to a charge of entering and remaining in a restricted building or ground. That is, I hate to, be an asshole and say, if you're going to editorialize, get the hell out of journalism and go into political activism, although that might be what you're in because he works for NPR. There's a wild difference of fact and law to saying he pleaded guilty to storming the Capitol versus he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of, what was it? I can't even, entering and remaining in a restricted building or ground. And then the guy just, tries to double down and then posts, no, you guys, you didn't read all the documents. Hold on, let me see this here. Then he confuses or equates statement of offense with the sentencing memorandum with what he actually pleaded guilty to. And even in those very same documents, because when Viva gets angry. And now in an attempt to cover his own defaming ass, Tom Three-Stream Dreisbach is referencing the statement of offense and the sentencing memorandum, both of which I suspect he also did not read. If you don't know the difference, you shouldn't be, you were wrong. Quit digging. Just be an honorable journalistic retard. Correct, retract, and apologize. It's not that hard. You go to, this was even the statement of offense, which I think is even more obscene. The statement of offense, paragraph 26, the defendant knew at the time he entered the U.S. Capitol building that he was trespassing and did not have permission or lawful authority to enter the building. Now, admittedly, I think he pleaded guilty to this because it was the only thing to do to minimize legal expenses, to minimize exposure to even further time in jail, and because that's what the feds do in a corrupt system. Overcharge, over-prosecute, just to coerce you down to some bullshit non-charge, so that you could then be defamed for the rest of your life by jackass propagandists at the NPR. At the time he entered the U.S., the U.S. Capitol was a restricted building where the vice president and vice president-elect were temporarily visiting. The defendant unlawfully and knowingly entered and remained in a restricted building without lawful authority. That is a whole hell of a lot different than storming the Capitol and posing with lectern. But that's not it. Andrew's day is not yet done. Then another jackass comes out. Who's this one? Who's the other one? Oh, here we go. This one. Another jackass comes out. It's like there's no shortage of jackasses on Earth. The intellectualists, it's ironic. They always call themselves the exact opposite of what they are. Mark M. Masferrer. Mark M. Masferrer says, an insurrectionist from Bradenton meets a U.S. senator. I'm still looking for confirmation that Adam Christian Johnson has received his Trump pardon. I'm still looking for confirmation. A rat, a snitch, a son of a bitch, and a defamer. All in 3 short lines. Congratulations, Mark Masferrer. You don't even get the trifecta. You get the grand slam of assholes. An insurrectionist, lie. I mean, it's like, they're so freaking stupid. We're like, no one was even charged with insurrection, let alone convicted. Had Masferrer read Jack Smith's report, they would have found they didn't even charge Trump with inciting insurrection. Also, he didn't steal anything. Details. He didn't steal a damn thing. Whether or not he was charged with that, I don't even think he was charged with it, but I don't want to make a mistake. It doesn't matter. He didn't plead guilty to stealing anything. Not an insurrectionist. The good brown shirt is just making sure all the dots and I's are crossed. Oh, maybe Adam wasn't pardoned. And maybe there's some way we can get him into trouble. From the intelligent, what was it called? The intellectualist? The intellectualist. So all of these people need to be sued. Well, whether or not they should, or whether or not they will be, I don't wish a lawsuit on somebody. You'd rather have no lawsuit than a good lawsuit. Because even a good lawsuit costs money, costs time, stress, inconvenience, and it is exposure, and you never know. Anybody who says, like it's a slam dunk case has never been a lawyer, sure as hell has never been to court. I say under ordinary circumstances, all things considered, it's a coin flip. You get a politically partisan judge, it doesn't matter if you have a good case. You get a politically partisan judge, it doesn't matter if you have a bad case. So nobody should rush to litigation.